This is the West Michigan Sports Show, presented by the United States Air Force. Now, here's your host, Brandon Wirth.
Welcome into another edition of the West Michigan Sports Show, presented by our great friends at the Car Center in Rogers Heights. Brandon Wirth joining you here this episode on the road. A couple states down in Tennessee bringing you this episode from. So, mobile setup, not as great sounding voice, but still banger content for you guys. Can't wait to get into it. We got a great interview with Zach Erickson of Reed City Football on his commitment to Calvin University, choosing why, what went to his decision, and what he's excited for this fall as well. As we get into a little bit of baseball, softball preview, just briefly, we'll cover a little bit more of that on the rundown as well here when we come next week. Some of you might have noticed we're on a bye week for the rundown just because of everybody traveling. So we'll have that back on next week and get back on it here for the regular scheduled programming here with the network. But before we get into the interview and the rest of the show, big thanks to our great friends at the Car Center for being the primary sponsor, as well as our other local sports supporters, which include Johnson's Automotive, the Schuberg Insurance Agency, Quality Car and Truck Repair, Alter Care Big Rapids, Paris Auto Sales and Service of Big Rapids, the Mecosta Osceola Transit Authority, and the Mecosta Osceola Career Center. Thank you for your support of all local high school athletics in the West Michigan area, and especially those in the Central State Activities Association that we cover here on this program. Big thanks to all of you as well. The rundown will be getting an expansion as well. I harped on this last couple weeks. That announcement should be made this week, so be on the lookout for that. We got a lot of exciting experiments that are going to be going down, and it's going to be a really fun experiment. We can't wait to get all the expanded coverage with the pro sports that we have on this network, including the Lions, the Red Wings, as well as the Tigers in baseball season. It's going to be a really fun show. But those wondering, we're going to keep this program going. Local high school sports in a spotlight. It's going to continue, and it's going to be just as good. And we can't wait to get to those episodes here throughout the summer and keep you going on this sports slate here for the rest of this school year going into next. But without further ado, got a chance to sit down with a champion, multi-time champion, district champion, conference champion, regional champion, and certainly has done so in the ranks in multiple different sports at Reed City High School. And with Zach Erickson, they knew he was going to go to college to play football, but many of us were wondering where it would be and when he'd make the decision. Well, now it is clear, and you can hear from him himself on the decision to go to Calvin University. Here is Zach Erickson. So I guess I'll start off with the basic question I'm sure everybody wants to know. What made you decide to go to Calvin? What was there in that decision process, and ultimately why did you want to become a Knight?
Last day of location was super ideal. They were super welcoming, and I mean, they're starting a new program, which is super exciting, and their team chemistry they talked about was very unique. I talked to some of the players. They were very friendly, very welcoming to me, and it just made me feel comfortable at home.
Awesome, yeah. And when it came down to the choices, I'm sure you had a couple other in mind. Were there other schools that you really kind of came down to in the process of picking one or the other, or was it strictly Calvin once you were there? That was it? That's the place I'm going to go?
Yeah, it was strictly Calvin, especially after the visit. I was like, that's where I want to go. They top-notch every other school that I've had any interest of.
Awesome, man. And I'll ask you this part, too, along with it. I know, obviously, fantastic three-sport athlete on the basketball court as well as on the baseball diamond. But what wanted you to pursue football in college as opposed to some of the other sports?
Football has always just felt like my thing. I've always felt the most knowledge towards the sport, the most confident in the sport, the most competitive in the sport. I mean, I'm obviously competitive in all three, but I mean, football is just, it's where.
For sure, man. And I think especially it would be a crime not to talk about the success that you guys have had over the last couple of years, and following it as alum has been awesome. District champions, region champions, conference champions. I mean, just talk about the time at Reed City and just being able to run under that program and achieve a lot of that, not only team success, but individual success as well with the awards, all conference honorees and such.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been just such a pleasure to be a part of the team, the Reed City program growing up, I mean, ever since main flag football, it's just always been amazing with the teammates I've had and the coaches. And, getting to high school, I know we had high expectations, and I really enjoyed it with succeeding, especially with a lot of the kids I grew up playing with. And, yeah, it was a blast. I couldn't ask for any more.
For sure. What is the biggest thing you think from that time? Obviously, you mentioned all the way back from flag to rocket into the prep level, into eventually high school at the varsity level. What were some of the biggest things that you feel you improved on and did extra to get to this level now where you're getting to sign a letter of intent to play college football?
I would say working hard on off-season with strength training and speed training, and I mean even mental training with that being in the season and off the season.
Sure, yeah. You said the mental part, and that's certainly intriguing as far as what is the things you like to do mentally outside of, and especially in the off season, to get you ready for the grind that is Friday Night Lights from August all the way through until late November.
I just really like to build up my confidence and build up almost kind of like pre-intensity to make me even get prepared for when it comes down to final minutes in the game, and know that if I need to or I want to take the ball to make the final plays, or I need to make a play that's going to help us win.
For sure. They say practice like you play. Certainly working that true there for sure. Obviously, the other side of it, as much as we're going to be loving to talk about you going to play football at Calvin, obviously the other side that you know very well to it with school, what are some of the things you're looking at studying at Calvin? Any programs that stuck out to you on your visit?
Business.
Business? Okay. Anything specific, or kind of trying to feel that out and see where it goes?
I'm trying to feel that out, yeah, for sure, but definitely somewhere in the business area.
Okay, right on. And especially with Calvin, ironically, I don't know if you saw it last night, I talked to Caleb Dubowski, who made his decision as well last night. He's going to be joining you there. As far as your overall feel with the campus when you got there, obviously it's a very unique campus, not too far from a big city, but has that real small, tight-knit community feel with it. What were your overall thoughts when you visited there and just got to see the campus?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, they're bringing a lot of new stuff to the campus. They're bringing a lot of stuff to just the college in general. It seemed like my type. I wasn't looking for a super big college. It's definitely not that. It's like your medium size, which I really prefer.
Absolutely. One last question for you, Zach. I appreciate the time, man. When it comes down to making this decision, I'm sure obviously the weight off your chest now that you know where you're going in the fall, no matter what happens in the spring, what's the number one thing that you're looking forward to now that you have made the decision to go play college football, go study for a degree at Calvin?
I'm just ready to get back on the field and get back to work with playing the sport I love, and I'm also ready to pursue my education and try and get a healthy job that I can really rely on in times of need when I get older, and do something else I also enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Zach Erickson for joining us here on the West Michigan Sports Show. If there is an athlete, a college commit, a coach, or an administrator you want to hear from, let us know. Hit us up in the contact form on WBRN.com and let us know which coach, what person you want to hear from on this show. We got some great interviews in store as we continue on here into the spring season. We got track, softball, baseball, women's soccer, a whole bunch of great stuff as well in golf and tennis, and we'll bring that all to you here on this show throughout the remainder of the year. So let us know who you want to hear from on this show, and we'll bring it to you as soon as we can, as well as we'll be doing a little bit with that. With the rundown, myself, Joe Nagy, you can tune in every week on Big Rapids Daily News on Facebook, social media, as well as on Big Country 100.9 on YouTube, so you don't miss out on any of those episodes moving forward. As well, if you missed out, Behind the Bulldogs, Fair Stage Sports coverage, exclusive interviews with coaches, players, and support staff. You can also tune in just before this show starts on the airwaves at 3 p.m., as well as on WBRN.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to this show. But we're going to take a break. We'll pay some bills. We'll bring it back with a little bit of preview. Baseball, softball coming up in the spring. We'll let you know who's in the lead and who's going to be one to look out for. We'll be right back after this here on WBRN. Welcome back here to the West Michigan Sports Show, presented by our great friends at the Car Center. Big thanks as well goes out to Mecosta Osceola Career Center, the Mecosta Osceola Transit Authority, Paris Auto Sales and Service of Big Rapids, Alter Care Big Rapids, Quality Car and Truck Repair, the Schuberg Insurance Agency, and Johnson's Automotive Repair. Big thanks to you for all of our local sports supporters for making this show possible. We get into now, we'll start on the diamond on the baseball side, looking in ahead to this season. There's no doubt, I think, in everyone's mind, especially those that follow the CSAA, that it's really going to be Big Rapids, the team to watch. Obviously, a lot of big bats in that lineup. Coach JT Scarpelli in his second year, winning Coach of the Year in his debut season last year. And especially when you look at a lot of those tough teams they played, they got a win on the road at Beale in non-conference play. They went and really played a fantastic game at home against Petoskey earlier on that year, as well as taking on a lot of other good teams like Gaylord, for example. They're going to be the ones to watch. They got a lot of depth on the mound. They got a lot of depth in the field, as well as some big bats at the plate. And it's going to be exciting to see what they do this upcoming season in CSAA play. Reed City is also going to be one to watch. They were a team that were really fighting in the middle of that conference last year, taking a lot of wins against a lot of good caliber teams, sweeping a lot of teams as well in the CSAA. Lost a couple of uncharacteristic games due to lack of arms, and that's really going to be a problem they have this year. They're going to have some guys. They're going to have a lot of athleticism. They're going to be a very interesting team to watch to see how they rebound. Obviously, with D1 commit to Central Michigan, Max Hammond on the mound, he's going to bring a lot of firepower to that mound and that pitching staff. But how the other players will step up this year. They lost a couple of big bats last year, especially over the years, having a lot of really consistent guys in the middle of the lineup. This will be the year they're put to the test. So we'll see what Coach Granis has in store, and he will really game plan to see how this team is going to play this year. Central Montcalm was a team that was up and down last year, finishing at 17-11, just over 500. They're always a competitive group, and we expect the same thing from that group in the Hornets this year. They always have a lot of great athletes. They always have a lot of good contact hitters. They got some guys with velocity, and they'll be a team to watch for sure as well. I'm not necessarily saying every team's going to be a team to watch, but they took a lot of games last year against some good teams. They swept Grant, Chip Hills in some tight games. So they're going to be a team that's really going to be in the mix, I think, as well near the top. And I think especially with the veteran aspect on that coaching staff, they'll certainly be one to watch out for. Tri-County is a team that's still kind of on the rebuild mode, only 3 wins last year, but I think you're going to see that number increase this year. A lot of young players on that Viking roster last year. I think you're going to see a little bit more moving forward this year from that Viking group and Coach Nelson. And hopefully that non-conference schedule as well that they have slated will help them with that, playing some of those competitive games and picking up some wins. That would be huge to see for that program moving forward. Kent City, also a team that really kind of not necessarily came out of nowhere last year, but especially when you look back a year prior, they definitely stepped up from that 21-22 season after just finishing what really was that COVID-canceled season, or not COVID-canceled, I should say, but not having a lot of those games being played. You look, especially for where they were as a group, reaching, I believe it was all the way back to the District 74 semifinal, where they ended up falling to North Point, a really good team in that district. This past year, they did really well. 17 wins with that group, and we expect to see quite a few wins this year. Obviously, they lost some seniors, but that core really is going to bring some noise, I think. I think that's going to be a really good team to watch out for. Coach Larson's done a great job with that group, and I think we expect to see that moving forward here for the Eagles, but we'll just have to wait and see as well. Other notable teams as well, Moy Stanwood will be very competitive. Newaygo, I think, is going to be in the mix as well. We're fighting in the middle of the pack. Just based on what we've seen, really interested to see how Lakeview bounces back. They were kind of up and down last year, to see if they can get some consistency with the bats and see what they can do here moving forward here this spring, going into what's going to be a hectic season up and coming, especially as well. Grant, a team that's really kind of a wild card. They can certainly show up on some nights they kind of fall apart. Which Tiger team we'll see consistently this year, I think that's going to determine how good they're going to be in the CSAA postseason, especially looking at the standings year in and year out. On the softball side, same top team I think everybody's going to be looking out for. Obviously, Big Rapids 32-5 last year. Absolutely pounded teams to a conference and a District 34 championship. Coach Thompson and that crew, they've got the bats, and they've got the bats. The speed goes along with it, but any sort of a base hit can turn into a double, and they have a lot of power. And we expect to see especially some big numbers. Melissa Warren in her final season before she goes to play ball in Toledo. She could have a huge senior season as well, as that core of that group are really going to be fun to watch. And we look forward to seeing what they have in store this upcoming year. Reed City behind as well. They're a team that especially that I've known a little well with Coach Stieg and having some of those conversations. They're really looking forward to this year, and I think we're going to see some really good competition. Obviously, last year played a lot of tough teams, especially on the schedule. When you look at a lot of their non-conference, they played Everett earlier on in the year. They also played a couple of tough teams in Beale City. They also faced against some good tournament games where they went over to Lake City and won a chip. Also playing TC West, Ludington, for example. So they got the competition standard that they're ready to go chase some of these teams this upcoming year, like Big Rapids. So what they have in store is really going to be interesting. And I think especially when you look at some other teams around the conference, I think you especially see Kent City. They really had a standout season last year as well. The Eagles registering 23 wins. I think they're going to be near the top once again. They'll be losing a couple key players in that lineup and on the mound, but you really like their chances for the consistency that Coach Larson has had on the other side as well. And I think especially with that District 73 championship loss last year to Ravenna, I think there's going to be a spark lit under the feet of those Eagles players, and they're going to be ready to run it back this year and do whatever they can to try and chase the Cardinals and the Coyotes as well in the CSAA. Some teams that are looking forward to bouncing back, Tri-County, a little bit of a stumble last year. They're looking to get back on track. White Cloud as well, trying to really find a base for their program moving forward to see if they can continue moving up. 13 wins last year, much improved compared to some years past, but still trying to get up and up as far as just chipping away. Chippewa Hill's kind of in the same boat. They're going to bounce back, I think, a little bit bigger this year. Last year, 10 wins. They certainly seemed like more talented than a 10-win team when you looked at the numbers on paper and that roster. But still, really going to be a talented group, and we look forward to seeing them as well. Lakeview will be a team to watch, and Molly Stanwood, of course, is going to bring it this year. So a lot of great things in the CSAA coming up here in this spring. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. A little shorter of an episode today, but we appreciate you sticking with us. Once again, we'll be back to the home studio, back to the same schedule here next week. And we look forward to seeing you here, whether you're live with us on WBRN.com or the WBR mobile app or over the airwaves on 96.5, 107.7, and 1460. We all love you no matter what platform you are on. Once again, just so you guys know, going into the spring and the summer, the Rundown will be back. It'll be your home for CSAA baseball and softball primarily. For all the other sports, you can tune in to the West Michigan Sports Show continually here on WBRN. It'll be on WBRN.com as well as on Big Rapids Daily News on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and on Big Country 100.9's YouTube. It's a little confusing, but it's all for a cause to get it out to the most people as possible here on our network, which big thanks to the Big Rapids Media Network. They certainly help us make this podcast possible and all of our great shows. And they've been family owned and operated for 25 plus years and work with all the great athletic programs here in the West Michigan area. For Behind the Bulldogs, it will stay as it is now until the school year. Potential expansions to video will be potentially made, something me and Joe are going to be looking into, and especially going into next school year. But over the summer, might be experimenting, so be on the lookout for that. But it will be same time, same place here over the airwaves until then. And we're going to have some great interviews for that. And once again, that's 3 o'clock, starting at 3:03 Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be square to catch that before the West Michigan Sports Show, which airs right around 3:33 p.m. on the start time here if you're listening to this episode here today on the 23rd. But we'll be keeping that moving forward once again throughout the remainder of the school year at least. And there might be some changes being made in the summer as well with the Rundown, Behind the Bulldogs, and more. Also could be some new podcasts on the docket as well, so be on the lookout for that. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Rapids Daily News on Instagram, Facebook, and X to learn more all about our shows, the expansions, and all the great athletic coverage that we will have coming up this fall. It's going to be a really exciting time for all of our local sports fans. Big thanks to those before we go. Johnson's Automotive, the Schuberg Insurance Agency, Quality Car and Truck Repair, Alter Care Big Rapids, Paris Auto Sales and Service of Big Rapids, the McCosta Osceola Transit Authority, and the McCosta Osceola Career Center, as well as our main sponsor of this program, the Car Center in Rogers Heights. When you need bodywork, request the best, request the Car Center, just down Northland Drive in Rogers Heights, south of Big Rapids. You can find out more as well at carcentermi.com. But until next Saturday or anytime you listen on WBRN.com, this is Brandon Wirth signing off on the West Michigan Sports Show. We'll see you later, sports fans, and we'll see you next Saturday.